The WWC, what the world is watching.
Season 5 details came out. We're going to dive into what they were and what you can do to prepare for the season. Let's get into it.
600 plus days of last war grinding, battles fought, lessons learned, strategies mastered. When we talk, you level up. Welcome to the Warzone Wrecking Crew.
Welcome everybody to the WWC QB18 here and answering your call, asking about Season 5. Details dropped this morning. Wanted to gather my thoughts before I created something. And so first, we'll get into some images that were released. This is what your area is going to look like for your server. Is what they showed. So within your little server area of the map, you're going to have kind of the safety zone is what they have. Then they show your own trade posts, and they say everybody is going to have their own capital. So think of this as us kind of zooming in and looking at what your server is going to look like on the map. Now we'll look at like a bigger portion of the map and what that actually looked like, which this is the appearance of the entire map. So they're basically putting 8 servers onto the same map. So yeah, like that's absolutely enormous. They're saying like 9 times bigger map than we're used to, right? It's kind of overwhelming when you really think about like how big of a map this is. So instead of porting from server to go and strike somebody or start war or whatever, you just need to move up a couple squares and be able to hit people. So really, when you think about it, back to Season 1, like how big the map was, right? And all the servers were coming into the same server to take over property. Kind of making it similar to that, where we're putting, except this is even bigger because we're putting everybody, from server to server on one area. So very interesting the way they break it out here. You can look, the blue areas over here, they have our trade posts that you're able to take. It looks like there's some Warzone outposts that are over here. So wondering what those are. If you can, I wonder if they're just a trade post of like trading, or you can go and actually take somebody's trade post. Like how that's all going to work sounds fun. There's the Gold Rush City that appears to be in the middle here, and then each area, as I said, has its own capital to look at. So that's how the layout is going to be. Some highlights that they've said, it's a Western theme, so that could be fun. It's definitely different. And everybody's going to be all together in 8 from a Warzone. So then they said, the massive expansion, as we talked about. The optimized battle time is really something that's intriguing. So it sounds like it says no more 24/7 battles, but it seems to be more like Season 1, where they're going to have every single day, they're going to have fighting. And there's going to be time slots within that day. Now, it doesn't tell us how long those time slots are going to be. But what it does tell us is that you can have, alliances can set immunity times of 15 consecutive hours of rest to recover. So maybe everybody needs to work around the same time, and when you're going to sleep, you can actually pick. So you have protection time now. It's not this, before we had these different alliances that would be while one country was sleeping for the most part, another country would attack, and then and so forth. So now you can actually have it where you determine 15 consecutive hour time span. You can kind of set your fighting around that, which is interesting, and we'll get it more into that because I think that's really strategic in itself. There's going to be a trade train that appears to go across, the different stations, and sounds like, similar to what we have out there today, where you can launch your train and, multiple servers can see it and rob it if they want, or you can have it raid through for rewards. And if it's the way it is today, whales will ride it, and the strongest ones will be hard to beat, and all that good stuff. So that's what it sounds like is going to be there. Strongholds are upgraded into banks. So similar to what we've done previously, the strongholds, banks, you can put your resources into the bank, and it sounds like it may multiply, and you can go and store them there. But if somebody comes and robs your bank, then they get all your resources that you've been storing in there. So sounds fun. A bunch of these aspects in here, and so there's a couple I want to dive into immediately that I feel like we can prepare for and help you out. One would be, the number one thing that goes into my head is they're going to have fighting 3 times a day. Okay, so you're going to have fighting 3 times a day, which means you need troops. Okay, folks, in order to get troops, you need speed ups. So what everybody needs to start strategizing and thinking about, if you're watching this video, how are you going to make troops, and how are you going to save your speed ups going into the season? I mean, you need massive amount of speed ups. If you're going to have a complete season where we're fighting, God, how exciting does that sound, by the way? I mean, it sounds torturous, I'm sure, for some that don't like fighting, but those of us that love to fight, and alliances that love to fight, oh my Lord, is this an amazing season shaping up? Because it just sounds like we're going to be fighting all the time. Which is great. I mean, you're robbing trains, you're robbing banks, you're fighting all the time. Sounds fun. To me, it sounds fun. So you have to have speed ups in order to have the fun. You have to have troops in order to speed up. Let's be honest, 15 consecutive hours is more to take the break for when you're working and sleeping. It's not to create troops. You're going to have to create troops with speed ups. So I'm thinking maybe certain people fight every day in your alliance. Like maybe you need to give some people a break on and off. You're going to have to figure out some strategies there. You can't fight every single day. You're going to just run out of troops immediately. So you're going to have to figure out when you're going to fight and when you're not going to fight, when you're going to defend, because unless you're a whale, you can't sustain that. You lose your troops too quick. So think about that for yourself as you go through a week at a kill event. How can you stretch your troop loss out? How can you defend? Like, don't forget, when people attack you and you let them attack you, they lose troops. You don't. They just go to the hospital. But you do have to have time to clean the hospital out. Using your alliance help to clean those hospitals instead of speed ups is going to be a key thing here in how you save your speed ups and utilize them, from training to universal speed ups. It's all about speed ups, guys. Really, like that's what I envision is speed ups. So what's enough? I don't know. 300 days of universal speed ups? 400? I don't know. Like, all I can tell you is right now that we know we have time, we have weeks to surpass. One of my main goals is going to be to save speed ups and maybe buy them in the store. Maybe look to actually buy time in the store now rather than wait, and try to keep nest egging some speed ups to fight. That would be my number one thing to start doing. The second thing is, again, look at how you're fighting and the best way to stretch those resources out. T11 troops are coming out. Now it starts to make sense on how they're going to use them, because some of these troops, the way the T11s are, they're to survive and last longer. You can get defensive troops that don't die as fast. That might not just be for attackers and whales. Like, from my perspective, I'm going to start thinking about, do I need the added power to fight against people, or do I need to make my troops last? A lot good I'm going to do with all my strength and all my power if I have no troops. So I need to stretch them out, and maybe T11, we start thinking about those defensive troops that last a little bit longer. I would say that's a good key. Third thing I would say for people, start making relationships, guys. Like, you're going to have nine servers. You don't know what server you are going to get stuck with. But if you are a team that makes enemies more than they make friends, I would say you're in trouble. you are in trouble. Last season, I'll give you an example. 96, which on our server, which we consider one of the strong, they have like 3 VIP 18s. Some of the strongest people in the game, Bria Stickman and stuff. I don't know what they finished, but it was really low, like 11th place or something, or 7th place, 6th place. I don't know. I want to talk out of school because I don't remember the exact placement of their server. But what I do remember is the reason why it happened, because their own faction attacked them, which I think it was like 76 was in and attacked them. So, I mean, if you're going to have everybody on the server team up against you, you're going to be terrible. You can't defend against everybody. You need to have alliances. You need to have friends. And you need to have good relationships. So I would say if you don't currently, start working on that. Start reaching across and reaching your hand across the aisle and finding these servers that you can work with. You don't know who's going to be teamed up against you, but it doesn't mean that you can't start making friends or you can't strengthen those bonds with people who you might be working against, right? Some of those strong servers who you're really going to be concerned about, you may want to reach out to the top ones and say, hey, let's have good relationships, because you're going to want to team up with folks. That's just the top thing. And the last thing I'll say that comes to mind initially, I'm sure I'll have more thoughts as we go, and I can't wait to hear from you too and your feelings on this, but start shaping, how your server looks. This is now server battles. It's not just one team. So everybody likes to stock up that one strong team and say, hey, I have one team. This is entire server, that's more working together than previously is what I'm watching here. As you're trying to hold a capital, that means that you're battling with other servers to help you out. So you can actually, think about stretching out and having multiple teams that are strong. And maybe you want to start saying which teams are going to be battling at which hours. Think about that strategically, right? Like, the number 1 alliance gets this battle, number 2 alliance gets this. I don't know how the fighting is going to work in that manner. But if your server is determining when you're getting those is it alliance versus alliance, or is it going to be the members of your server, right? Alliances can set the immunity times. So if you think about it, one alliance might want to be in the time slot fighting while other ones are in immunities, and you go off one another. You don't want to have the same alliances have immunity at the same time, so you can have protection of your server. Anyway, those are just some of the things that are popping in my head that we might, strategically want to be working on. Thank you for taking your time to join us. QB18 out.